out.
Hi guys, so I wanted to interview today. We just went for a run, and I have a lot of comments personally, but I have Mr. Barbaro, as in Tommy, who is, I assume, like 18 right now, and then Mrs. Barbaro, who is an amazing role model and mom. But I really want to talk about, I do want your perspectives, yes, but Tommy's dad, who's not here right now, might be stuffing like a body into a trunk or something.
Yeah.
I'm only kidding. It's like an inside joke. Don't even listen to that. That wasn't good for live, but it's just me being stupid and funny. But anyway, he was 47 when Tommy was born, and I'll be 46. So I kind of wanted to get it, like, he probably has one perspective, but you guys probably have a different perspective. So why don't we start with Mrs. Barbaro, like, why wait longer? And then, like, what the pros and the cons were.
So why wait longer was, first of all, we didn't get married. I was 32, and I was pretty much through my 20s just trying to get master's degrees and get myself, professionally established. So I wasn't really worried about getting married. And then when we got married, I was like, okay, well, my clock's ticking. We should have a baby. And he just kept saying sooner or later. And then finally, when I turned 38, I said, well, if it's not sooner, it's not going to be later. So that's kind of like as much thought went into the exact timing. And we were very lucky. We had a healthy baby. So pros are that you're financially established, so you don't ever have money struggles. Cons are that you get to kindergarten and you realize, like, maybe the other parents are, like, in a different friend group or they have a completely different perspective, so sometimes you feel like you don't fit in, but you just have to try to stay young.
So that is actually has been one of my, like, I always work out, but I do think now I don't want to be the grandpa dad.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Who can't do anything. And for the people that may or may not know, my father is 70 and has a 14-year-old. And when he also has a 30-year-old, or maybe 29 or something, and like a 25 or 6 or 7-year-old, I don't know. But when I say he has, I mean, they're all my brothers with the same mom. But I'm terrible with ages. And I used to go to Matthew's baseball games, or I remember a basketball game. The coach came up to me, and we're 17 years apart, and I said, and at Matthew, and who's now 28, I think, 29.
I think he's 29.
The coach came up to me and said, "Oh, are you Matt's dad?" And I was like, "No." And I was even surprised he asked, because I felt like I looked so young and felt so young. And then I realized, wait a minute, my dad must look like the grandpa, right? And so how did you deal with, like, making friends? And because you need a peer group, right, to bring him to play dates and, to do whatever.
Yeah, so I would just, like, kind of read the group, and I'm not, like, I don't need to feel included, but it was just like, okay, so what are you guys doing with your kids? And you try to keep up with them a little bit and, like, do the things that they're interested in doing.
Did you ever feel, I am truly worried about this, did you ever feel like you're just not going to fit in? Like, they're doing their thing, and and it might be like you're already so financially established and they're not, so that kind of makes it awkward, and plus, like, they're so young, maybe just talk about different things.
There was definitely talk about different things, and things like date night, and we're like, well, we're done with date nights. Like, we had a kid so that we could be with the child, and if you're working full-time, then we devoted our weekends and activities to what he did. So we did lose a few friends along the way that wanted us to, like, leave him with a babysitter, and we just didn't want to leave him with a babysitter ever.
I kind of feel the same way now. Like, people are saying you're going to lose all your freedom, and for me personally, I'm like, I'm not sure if I want any freedom. Like, I want to spend time. Like,
I can't have them.
Yeah, like, I want to do it.
Yeah. But that's a difference. So when you wait, you actually plan it out, and then you want to do it. It's not, you never ever
You didn't lose
regret that.
But I'm also nervous that, like, I think it's like and maybe Mr. Tommy, you could speak to this. I always think it's an interesting and important time in a child's life when they could beat their mom or dad in a race to the car, or a race, from here to the tree, or whatever it is.
And I feel
no, but that's what I was thinking. But that's what I was thinking. Like I remember beating my dad to the car for the first time, and I was like, yes, But at the time, my dad was probably in his 20s. Do you know what I mean? Maybe early 30s. But I thought, you hear about Tiger Woods when he was 12 beating his dad, and his dad, who was a good golfer, beat his dad for the first time at, like, age 12, right? Like, I think it's super interesting. So if you beat your dad when as a toddler,
not quite.
I think that's an exaggeration.
Okay, I'm making jokes.
That's pretty athletically gifted.
You know what I mean? But, like, so Okay, so go back to the friend thing because that really worries me. So did you feel excluded, or were you like just fine? Like what? Not losing friends you had beforehand, right? Because I feel like for me it's similar, right? Because like all of my friends now most people that I hang out with are either past this,
Yeah.
or they're not at this, and I feel like I don't fit in either way. And I kind of come to terms with it, like it just is what it is.
Yeah. So I mean.
But I think I'll make new friends.
You will make new.
Like I'll make new friends with the new
I mean,
parents.
so I think I would have never gone to Action Karate. Like, what?
On your own.
You know, I'm an adult. What am I? And you know, we could not get Tom interested in any sports. You know, my husband's big baseball, football, basketball, all those things, and we couldn't get him interested. And it was finally he said, "Can I go to Action Karate?"
Did we come to
Sure.
something? How did you know about Action Karate?
I think it was actually the other guy
No,
at school, and I misunderstood him. But I brought him to Action.
Nice, the marketing machine.
And then
we had the Ragoos.
and we did have the Ragoos.
We
I
had
remember
family
them, yeah,
friends
yeah.
Who were
The Ragoos.
students.
So through Penryn, there were multiple families.
Oh, yeah,
in
Penryn.
Action. So we saw the shark on the cars,
And I went to a golf
you-
outing with you guys
yes, you went to a golf outing with us.
at wherever that was. Was that super nice?
was-
Jericho. I went to a Jericho one.
Jericho, yes.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was super awesome. All right, so not from your point of view, from Mr. Barbro's point of view, what were the pros and cons for him? Obviously, financially already established, more mature. I think that's like got that. But like, what were the other pros and cons
So
for
I think
him?
the pros for him, like, he didn't have the greatest family life growing up. So when he had a son and he could grow the love just by having a relationship, I think that was really positive for him. I don't know if it's a con, but he certainly took parenting very seriously, and that's where his anxieties came out. So like I found usually it's the mother that's really anxious, but I think he had more concerns over bad things happening
Everything.
when Tom.
Can you give me an
wasn't
example?
completely in his- well, it certainly happened when he went off to Duke, which is only recently.
Which
like-
obviously you guys are great parents of your kids going off to Duke.
So if we didn't hear from him like every 2 days, he would be, and I was also up here still. I hadn't moved, so it was an awkward situation. But he would always want me to be calling and checking.
I would call like once a week. And
Would he act like really cool, like he's not calling? Like, I don't know, your mom's right, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think he didn't want to be that guy, even though
But he
Tom
was.
knows who's the
I know
guy.
what's going on.
He knows when I call him off schedule, it's because someone else needs to hear.
What about as like a baby? Was he like, hovering like,
He was very much hovering. So he worked a very long day, 2 hours on the train to New York City. He would get home, so he left the house at 4:30 in the morning, get home at 6:30 at night, and he would immediately put Tom, he'd sit in a recliner, put him on his legs, and bounce him for the 2 hours until it was time for him to go to bed. Like, pretty much not even eat. Like, he would just get right to it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, so from your point of view, everywhere you go, your dad's older than most of the other dads.
Yes.
Is there ever, like, how do you feel about that?
I mean, I don't particularly care. Like, he's not there to be the athlete or he's there to be with me. Like, so, I mean, what's really good about him being older is he was kind of over his personal life. Like, I had the benefit of you guys, like, kind of selling your personal lives to get me to activities. Like, I was involved in, like, 3 different things in high school, and he was my chauffeur.
What about as a baby? Or not a baby, but, like, what about as, like, grade school?
I mean, when I was in grade school, there would be times where I'd be like
Did you ever look around at the other dads and be like, wait a minute, what's happening here?
I think when you're young, you don't really notice.
You don't notice it? Okay.
So the other thing is...
I don't think I really cared.
Dads often are the working and the mom. So at Penryn, anyway, he was the dad. He was the only dad that could show up. And so it almost was like a
It was
highlight.
kind of a cool thing, yeah. But also I was fortunate that, like, he had a pension plan ready, so he retired when I was in, like, 2nd grade. So the first couple years of school, it would be like I saw Dad for, like, an hour or 2 before I went to bed, and I was like, oh, this sucks. I never see Dad. But then after he retired, it was...
Right. But 2 hours a day is a lot for some people.
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, the issue was I had early bedtime, and he was coming home from New York, and we live in Pennsylvania, right? So he would leave before I got up. He would get home, like, eat dinner, and by the time he was done eating dinner, like, I had maybe half an hour with him.
Yep.
But after he retired, when I was young, like, I saw him way more than my mom. because he would drive me to everything. He'd drive me to and from school because he wanted any second he could get with me.
Yep. To and from karate.
Yeah, like everything.
To and from chess.
Cross country. He went to
Yeah,
every
everything.
single sporting event. Like, it was to the point where my friends thought he was like a weird, creepy guy because they didn't know he was my dad sometimes. Like, because he would go and watch cross country practice, and everybody's like, "Who?"
So is there
watches
any
cross-country?
downside whatsoever? I feel like all this stuff is amazing.
I mean, it's a lot of great things, but like when I was in middle school and I was getting into basketball, I'd be like, "Dad, play basketball with me," and he's like, "I have bad knees." Like, he was too old from football and shot knees and hips.
Yeah.
So I mean, obviously, I think all the upside is for the kid. Like, I think there are a lot of difficulties, like when you're in your 40s and you lose all your sleep.
Yeah.
Oh, so how was that?
I mean,
The sleep per se wasn't a big deal, but I think that the knowing that you're responsible for another human is a huge adjustment. Even when you go in with eyes open, like, so every little sickness, you're like, oh, what's this going to be? And
Yeah.
so.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, so again, with me being fortunate that you guys could afford private school, you guys pay for I go to Duke now, and that's very expensive. I don't have to worry about like a lot of money things that some people with younger parents have, but like my dad's about to get his second hip replaced, and 10 years from now I might need to take care of him full time. Like, he's 66 now, like who knows, 10 years from now I could be, totally tied down when I'm 28. So it goes both ways. Like, I had a lot of upside when I was young, but in my 20s I might have more things to worry about when I'm trying to start my career.
So for me to be prepared, so this is for Mrs. Barbaro, due in November, is there anything, before this started, my original plan was if we were fortunate enough that she would get pregnant, I thought the first trimester we would travel, like we'd go back, she's from China, so we'd go back, maybe, travel all over Asia for a little while she still could. Obviously with COVID, none of that happened. And pretty much, we're also nervous. She's super nervous about COVID. So our circle is pretty much my family. Is there anything that I should be doing to, if you had to do it over again, or just give me advice to prepare? So we have 2.5 months. Like, should I be doing anything right now? Like, if I do it over again, that last 2 months is boom, I would be blank.
So there will come a point where she's going to have a hard time moving around. I mean, even if she's in really good shape, like, it just gets to be like that last 4 weeks is like,
I'm like a
it's
taskmaster.
got to be gone. Like, because you can't move, and I'm short, and just like it was so much. So you want to get the room ready, and like make sure you have all the stuff you need for like the first 2 weeks, so you're not trying to go out there when.
I've been
perhaps
we got a
isn't
lot of
feeling
stuff given to us by Amanda, Miss Jackie's daughter, gave us a ton of stuff. My sister mailed us stuff. I feel like I have a lot of stuff.
Yeah, so
I don't have everything, but we kind of been putting it off. Did you know that, I'm sure you know this, that car seats have expiration dates?
I did not know that.
I had no
It
idea.
is bananas. Like, I was about to buy one, on line or something. My sister's like, oh, they have expiration dates. You should wait. I'm like, wait, for what? What's expiring? The plastic? But they do. So now,
So, I mean, I know they changed the regulations and
Every
things
2 years.
Like that. Yeah.
every 2 years. I mean, how much
Yeah.
could it change in 2 years? But so I think we're actually going to
It's
buy
safer.
one today. The plan is today. And we're going to buy. I didn't know any of this, and I feel like I know a lot about kids in my head. I mean, I did write a parenting book after all. That the car seat has like a base that you click into it. I remember when I would help my parents with my sisters. I felt like the baby just went into the car seat when you got to the car. But now you put the baby in the car seat in the house and then click it in.
That's nice. The
Yeah.
bucket stage is nice.
Yeah,
we call
that's
that the
cool.
bucket because you can, in the comfort of home, and in November it's going to start getting cold, so you can get them in there and you don't have to like wrestle with
You're not
them
fussing.
while you have gloves on and
And-
tiny little buckles.
Yeah, and then the car seat bucket part comes out and goes into the stroller.
Yeah.
So that's where I think we're gonna go buy that
that's
today.
Good.
Yeah, it was like I get advice from my sister's like get this, and I'm reading books and watching stuff. So you think I should prepare by making sure we have the stuff? She's not gonna be able to move soon. She does. She's gonna earn her purple belt
Oh, nice.
this week.
Good.
And she was like, I don't know how much more I could do. I'm like, all right, you have 1 more week, get your
You
purple
do
belt.
5 times more than you think you can do.
Exactly. Yeah. It's hard to convince her. And then
That's
she
bad.
had a tough time a couple weeks ago
Who's
where she
Kat
was
did
like,
it? Right? Black belt test.
that's true.
Well, she wasn't so far along.
Yeah, true.
Like she's had some pain recently. We ran to the doctor, of course. And then So we were working on every morning doing like a yoga kind of, not yoga, we were doing like an aerobics kind of strength class.
Yeah.
But that I think is worn on her, and now she didn't want to do that. So now she walks every day and she does prenatal yoga.
Yeah. That's
So like my thing, and I told her, I was like, your body's got to be. I sat down with her and I was like, I have no idea what you're going through. I'm not gonna like pretend like I have any idea what's happening right now, but I do believe that the stronger you are physically, the better you're gonna be at giving birth.
Right.
I was like, I think like strength and stretching. So she's agreed to baby yoga. She
Good.
just passed her. I don't know if I told you. She just passed the second part of her CPA exam yesterday.
Oh, awesome.
Oh, that was on the run. I
Yeah,
got
that was yesterday.
That's awesome.
Which I was super proud of her. So, from your point of view, how should I be preparing? Or how would your dad tell me to prepare?
How would Ray tell you to prepare? He's very big on buying in. Like, he really gets mad when he sees other dads who don't want to go to like everything they have the possibility to go to. So like, you said it yourself. You don't want to have freedom, but like.
No, I think my freedom. I think I have freedom, and my freedom is going to be to choose to do this other. Like I like
Yeah.
you know,
It's
people are like, oh, you're not going to.
And
And the freedom, right?
Yeah.
Right, but I think that freedom is like that's what I'm looking forward to. Like some of my friends, like you're never going to travel again. I'm like, I've already traveled. Number one, I have traveled. Two, I don't care. And I went on a trip with a friend a few years ago to Disney World with her daughter. And normally for me, Disney World is get up as early as you possibly can, map out each thing you're doing, and run to things where it's barely enjoyable, but you have to get on as many rides as you can. This was, hey, what do you want? And she was 5. Hey, what do you? And like
and
her,
you've seen the world through a different
and she was like, "There's Mickey! Oh my god!" And like everything was, "There's the princess!" And I was like, "This is awesome!"
spontaneous.
Like way more
and-
fun with me with her than it is my normal like running around trying to just accomplish things. So I kind of think that's
Yeah,
what
that's
it's going
what
to
my
be.
dad was. Like, he obviously wanted me into basketball and football and things he likes, but like, when I was a kid and I didn't like those things, he bought into anything I got into. Like,
Yeah.
he became a professional cross-country fan when he didn't care about running
He didn't
at
care about
all.
And
I
how about
mean-
chess? Like,
I got into competitive chess, and then like, he knew the names of the best players in the world, but he barely knew how to play. Like, he would go to tournaments and sit and wait outside the room for 4 hours listening to an audiobook, waiting for me to walk out the door.
He wasn't allowed to watch.
In
You're not
chess
allowed
tournaments,
in.
you can't even watch. Like, he could not
I'm
even
not going to get
see
into
me.
that. One of my
He could not
plans is for
physically see
chess.
me,
I
and
did
he
think
would just
chess.
sit there and wait for me.
How boring is that?
it's very boring.
Oh, it's terribly
so,
boring.
You know, different
Why can't you
perspectives,
watch?
right? I would go, and I'd be like, well, I'm going to the gym. And he's like, we can't leave him in there.
And
I'm
I
like,
mean,
well, there's people.
it didn't bother me. Like, I didn't care if he would
Yeah.
wait. And I would tell him,
But
like, go do something for yourself.
That's
And he
a little
wouldn't.
anxiety
Like,
on his part, I think.
But
I
mean,
am nervous that
he
I'm
wanted
going to
to
have
be
But then
anxiety.
it was handy because there were times when, you know how the coaches would be in the bathroom
Oh,
and
that
all
was.
that stuff.
We don't need to get into Coach Gate. But,
They don't let you
Yeah.
watch because they're afraid you'll signal or something.
yeah, like,
There's good reason to be afraid because.
That's what happens.
there are people who cheat, yes.
But you see that in anything. Like,
Yeah.
it's,
But I would think there'd be a system. I mean, so when professional chess is on, there's not spectators.
There are. Professional, there is.
yeah, so this is
But this is
scholastic, so I
kids.
think it's trying to help the little kids not be distracted and.
I would think there'd
So
be
there
like
was one high school tournament where I think you were playing down, like, and then there was a balcony
Yeah,
around.
so-
So he walked the balcony, and I was getting
could,
pictures.
like, see from
I
the
could barely see
sky
him,
view.
but he's like, "Oh, I got him! I got him!"
He just moved his rook.
He was completely into it.
That is so awesome. Well, thank you guys so much. I know you guys are driving
you.
back to North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
I guess tomorrow. Have fun. It's always awesome to see you guys.
Awesome. to see.
You lost 40 pounds, so congratulations.
Yes. Thanks,
Awesome,
Coach
getting in
Brenner.
shape. That's
Go
right.
pitch for Coach Brenner.
And I know we talked a lot about Mr. Barbaro because from my point of view, you know, I want like the dad's perspective from you guys, but as a mom, I feel like you're totally amazing in like the example that you set, and you know that you did stuff with him, like actively with him, is how cool that is. It's just amazing. Like, you know, we all went running today. Obviously, you're a black belt. He's a black belt. Anyway, it's just awesome. And I think you're already mature enough to know it. But like for me, I certainly wasn't at your age. Like looking back at my mom now and thinking like, she was unbelievable. Like, you know, like I can't, you know, so I have, if you don't know, I have 5 sisters, 3 brothers. I know you guys know. And like to realize what my parents did for us is outrageous. Like I hope, my goal is to be as good as my dad. Like I can't even, like, it's boggling But when it was happening, of course, I just thought it was standard. And in fact, the fact that we weren't super rich was very aggravating to me. Like, why I wasn't born into royalty. And it wasn't fair, you know, like other things my friends got and I did not. But like looking back, I'm like, wait, what happened here?
Yeah.
So anyway, thank you guys. It was
Thank
awesome.
you.